At least we got the closed session at the end of the meeting. I forgot to put this up on.
Give us a little bit of time, guys. I print some paperwork off, so we're running a little bit late.
Looks like I'm gonna have to go to St. Barbara and then to Richland. Go pick my brother up and take him back home. Down to St. Barbara.
Item 6:05, I'll call the meeting in order.
Sorry. Diane Schultz,
Here.
Anthony Campbell,
Here.
Barb Thomas,
Present.
Michael Knoll,
Present.
Trevor Warnell,
Here.
Mary Wiles. Here. We have a quorum, 6-0.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Does anybody want to say anything? Whenever you guys are ready, I'll need a motion to adopt the agenda.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Sorry guys, I messed up real quick. Can we add a couple small things if you guys don't have a problem to it?
I'll withdraw my motion.
Sorry, Barney.
That's all right.
I should have thought about it. If we could put somewhere on there, Family Dollar, John Deere mower, and just give a real quick update on the water. You know, a little, update on the water, update about the valves and so forth. That's all right with you guys.
Is that Family Dollar or Dollar Tree?
Family Dollar.
It's Family Dollar.
Is it?
Family Dollar Tree, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they're combined now. Sorry guys, that's one of those things I gotta be honest, I've never shopped at, but my wife appears to tell me now that they've combined both of them. So,
Okay, so Family Dollar Tree, and what else did you say?
we got an old John Deere mower, we had somebody make an offer on them, we put out for bid, and we didn't have any. Wanted to address with you guys, then just a water update, talking about the leaks we had, the repairs, and our fix for the future, is what I call it.
Okay. With that said, I'll go ahead and make a motion to accept the amended agenda.
I'll second that.
Diane Schultz,
No, because we do not have a legal operating budget.
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Barbara Thomas,
Yes.
Michael Knoll,
Yes.
Trevor Warnell,
Yes.
Mary Wiles.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0, 5-1.
Next on the agenda will be approval of minutes. Tell me when you guys are ready. I've already looked at them. If you guys have any changes or anything. Sorry guys, I'm on my phone trying to find some notes. Whenever you guys are ready, I'll need a motion to approve minutes.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Diane Schultz,
I recuse myself, I wasn't here.
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Barb Thomas,
I abstain, I was not present.
Michael Knoll,
Yes.
Trevor Warnell,
Yes.
Mary Wiles.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-2. Sorry, I apologize.
Next on the agenda would be, we are in need of an engineering firm. I was informed, was it last week, Daniel?
Yes,
Last week by DNR, there were some issues that were supposed to be taken back in 2017. They were warned about in 2018 with outfall number 2 that were never addressed and fell by wayside. So now DNR needs to get an engineer to come with a plan to do what we're going to do to eliminate the outfall number 2.
And that consists of,
outfall number 2, please correct me if, outfall number 2, from what I'm understanding, and again, I don't want to say like I'm very knowledgeable on this, I'm knowledgeable but not the most with the sewer system, especially that side of it. Outfall number 2 is mainly rainwater, water that comes to the system. That's their concern. So they want us to come up with an option on, and what's causing that, I will tell you, what's causing it. A lot of our city sewer is hooked up to people's drains at their gutters and so forth. So what happens is that water overwhelms our system. So when we get rain, it'll flood that.
We had the sewer system done, geez, when was that? That was supposed to have solved that problem, the rainwater runoff into the sewer system. So it must be a failure somewhere, or maybe something that wasn't
Redo the
repaired.
whole system.
There.
You would have to go through the entire town
Yeah.
and disconnect people's lines that run to the sewer.
Well, they went through the whole system and smoked all the lines before they even did the project.
It's never
And then
been,
wherever they
according,
had the leaks, they repaired it. And they put new, they ran new.
I'm just gonna give you an example, like my house, you know, none of that's new, area over there, and you know, when I had COVID back in September, I did that myself. My drain tile was tied into the sewer system. I mean, it's not now, but it was before I did that, or when I did that. There's tons of them out there like that, like tons.
so what they'll basically have to end up doing, and I'll disagree totally. According to DNR, it's never been addressed. We've been told to address it numerous times, it's never been addressed according to DNR. What they're gonna have to do is, once we have an engineer come with some type of plan where they'll either go through and smoke each house. Yeah, smoke it.
So that's what they're wanting us to get rid of, that rainwater infiltration.
Yeah, because it's the I are blowing the wastewater system. And that's why outfall.
I mean, it's something we need to do, and we talked about it.
Yeah, and honestly, I'll tell you guys, we're at the point we don't have an option on this, so there's
It's hard on our stuff.
no option according to DNR, it's something that has to be done, so I wish it would have been done years ago, and we at least would have came with a plan, but unfortunately it's not. These are cards we're handled, and we'll deal with it accordingly, so. I'll just basically need a motion to put a bid out there for an engineering firm that specializes in what we're needing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Diane Schultz,
I have to say no because I did not approve the agenda.
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Barb Thomas,
Yes.
Mike Knoll,
Yes.
Trevor Warner,
Yes.
Mary Wild,
Yes.
motion carried 5-1.
Next on our agenda would be the maintenance report. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Once you sit up here so you can address everybody, so I can hear you.
Pretty bad for all you folks. I'm a very quiet speaker. During the last cold storm we had 4 main breaks. Once the cold storm went through, we started repairing all the main breaks. We repaired 2 a day up to our last one, which made number 5 because we got it after we were done, and that's the one over here on Chestnut. We are currently still working on that one, putting a new valve in, putting a new line in to fix that problem there. We also have an issue that during the snowstorm, our skid steer broke. We snapped the arm off of it, so we needed to see what the board wants to try to do with that, because we're without a skid steer now. We snapped one of the arms on it. To repair it, it was like $7 grand to buy a new set of arms for it. I don't know if the machine is worth it, as beat up as it is and old as it is. It's an 07 model. So it's something we'll see what you guys want to think about that. Because I do have people looking to see if they can get us a deal on a skid steer and a mini at the same time. So that maybe we can get a combo deal for them. Or do we just need to look for just one or the other? Just need to see what you guys think about that.
I would say till we get some pricing, we're gonna be at a standstill. I think for a temporary fix, we talked to a couple of people that can weld it, but I gotta be honest, when we weld it, it's gonna be just that. It's a temporary fix. It'll probably last us, 6 months to a year, but there's gonna come a time again, it's gonna break. So unfortunately, it was left with salt in it for a little too long. That's what's caused.
Yeah, we had one gentleman look at it, said he would like to buy it, purchase it, so, with all the attachments. So, but then I'd also like to know, or I'd like to put up the Crown Vic for sale to help get another vehicle, because the only vehicle we got left is a Ranger.
the John Deere mower that,
Yeah, it's sitting down there.
okay, that one we have an offer for, so I'll
Yes.
address that here shortly too.
And I would sell a Ford Ranger, somebody would think they could get anything out of it, but then we're down to no vehicles other than the Ford flatbed. So,
Is it sitting at the shop? Is there something wrong with it?
which one?
The flathead?
No, it's sitting out here with the salt spreader on it.
I thought it said it at Aaron's.
That's,
No,
Oh,
that's the county, they have one just like ours.
well, I mean, you need to get the spreader off, but probably soon start using it.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for all the bad weather to be over, because we took the snow plow off of it already. So,
I think we're coming out of that.
I say that.
Which
yeah,
it's
so
not,
I'm gonna take it off, put it right back on.
it's not a huge deal. It's not a huge deal to put the spreader back on if you have to.
Right.
I mean,
But it's just, it's just hanging it up in the air down there and dragging it back.
I think we could even, because, we talked about needing a utility truck again, even on those wire products, boxes aren't that much, we could bolt them to the side of the flatbed, and really, that'd get you by pretty well with that for a while. And it's not like you couldn't keep using them throughout the year.
No, and I'm not against you eventually getting a vehicle. I think maybe it's a little too much for your budget at this time, would be my initial thought, maybe till we come into the new year. But I would be more prone for, I think as we talked about, a utility trailer, a smaller trailer that was upfitted with the necessary supplies, so when we do have a job, this would be my idea, so please, I'll want some input on it when I'm done explaining, but we had a trailer that had our pump on it, a toolbox on it, and necessary hardware for when we go to fix a leak. I think that'd be very efficient. You can wheel it around by hand in here, you can put it to the Ranger, whichever truck you're going to do. Eventually, if we get a UTV, you can use it, you can pull behind a UTV to the job site.
And the new pump is on its way.
Okay.
And it's been en route a couple weeks now since it was bad weather. So,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I think the
It
trailer,
sounds like
we
the
used
least
one, and
expensive
it worked awesome.
avenue.
I think the trailers are win-win. I mean, honestly, I think you put, we're having some money in the toolboxes and so forth, but once you have it upfitted and you have everything that you need to fix the majority of the issues we have, I think you'll really enjoy it. That's my outlook on it. So,
I agree with that, just trying to find a trailer to put all that stuff on.
If somebody needs to run you parts, they take the truck and they take the tools. Well, if you drop the trailer there,
yeah,
tools
that's
are there.
exactly what I would do. So we could probably reach out to someone, we know we've got a couple local manufacturers, Sloan builds trailers. We have Hales trailers, we can, reach out if we need to, and get an idea and get some prices.
Okay, because I don't know who does that around here, so.
I can help you with that too, Daniel. if you
All right,
need.
good.
So,
All right, that's all I have. Any questions? No, good. All right.
Can I slide the water update and add a portion right there, just so while we're on it? So, we all know our city has, what I would consider an infrastructure problem, and the first response we get most of the time is, well, why don't we replace it? So I thought maybe this would be a good time to try to explain this. So, the water's a little different to replace as, when we had the sewer replaced years ago, you can kind of piggyback it and so forth. And we were trying to replace all of our water lines, so let's say you work in sections at a time. So what we would do at that point is you're talking board advisories, a board order at that point for months, if not years at a time. And you're talking, I'm going to guesstimate, and again, this is just an estimation, you're talking millions of dollars. And it doesn't just consist of replacing the water lines. What it consists of is where are most of our water lines, as everybody knows here, live in the middle of the road. So what are we doing when we go to dig them up? We're tearing up our roads. And a lot of roads recently have been replaced in the last 10 years. So hopefully that addresses some of that. So what we're left to do is, as we spoke about last time, and some of you guys were here, that I think our end goal is, and hopefully we can do within the next year, is come up with a series of valves. And what those valves will do is ideally the way our city should be set up now, but it's not because we've added on and grown in different, what I would call, instead of growing from the center out, we've grown here, then we've had a portion grow here, then we have a portion grow here. Once we have a series of valves, I think we said 15 or 16 valves, is that right? That's just a guesstimation. What we'll be able to do is break it down where we can shut off segments. What that will do in turn is relieve us of when we do have an issue, I can shut down these couple blocks, I can, shut down these segments. That'll put where we only have a boil advisory for that portion of the city. So it's not a fix all, but that's the best fix we're gonna be able to deal with moving forward. Because the reality of us being able to replace all the lines, that'd be perfect. If it could be done, it'd be perfect, but it's not feasible. So it was sewer, a lot easier. I mean, they complete the sewer project in under a year.
Yeah, they didn't do it very much of those.
So, does anybody have any questions or concerns on that? I just hope,
I'll just say, I would like us to at least be looking at the possibility of starting to replace the infrastructure. I mean, actually replacing it, but it's just not feasible to do right now. But it's something we can plan for in the future.
And it would have to be done a section at a time, because there's no way, even if we saved 3 years worth of excess budget, that could be done.
Right. It'll probably be involved with getting grants for it also, or something.
Absolutely, there would have to be some sort of financial help.
I mean, you're talking, let's say that a decent sized crew, you could do 400 foot at a time, because it's not just doing our mains, it would be running new service lines to each meter.
Right.
While you're doing that, you might as well replace the meters.
Right.
It's a lot of work.
And a lot of money.
It's a ton of money, but,
yeah.
I mean, I would love for us to.
To get started somewhere and start improving, yeah, I think that would be the
But I feel like
goal.
valves for now.
The valves are the
The
best.
valves would be the best thing, I think, because we're not shutting the whole city off of water. It's just that area below that's being serviced.
And there will be times where they'll have to shut off.
And wouldn't that eliminate a lot of the runoff from leading down the fire hydrants for pressure?
That's exactly what they do, so it's a.
Because we're wasting a lot, I mean, I watched the fire hydrant run almost half a Saturday. And that's a lot of water, the well runs dry after a while, so we gotta remedy the problem, and valves is probably the idea.
And to be honest with you, I think that's the only remedy moving forward. I mean, no matter who's here, that's the only fix, and I mean, I'd like to consider myself a problem solver, but that's it. I mean, there's no other solution that's even feasible financially other than that, so.
I wonder if we could have, because I don't know, I mean, I kind of looked at it, but maybe have the engineering firm look at it. It costs us a little bit up front, but they would probably save us money in the long run.
I agree.
As opposed to me saying, oh, you got probably one here, probably one here,
And that company that was here last week work on the DNR issue that we had? Are they engineers?
The company, no, so that company, they have an engineer that works for them, but they are not engineers. They basically come in and they sub it, so instead of us having a maintenance department, they do that. That's what they do. They come in and take over that portion of it. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
She's talking about lines?
But they do have an engineer. Most of the time, up until a couple of years ago, the city had an engineer. Somewhere along the lines, I think when the finances weren't in a good state, that's when they lost an engineer. There's some other issues, but
2016 is when John Doyle left, I believe it was.
Or they could advise you maybe more of who to go to, who to talk to?
DNR has gave us ample information on that portion of it. As far as the water valve system, I think we'd have to get.
just a conversation with somebody.
Well, by law, we're required to bid out engineering services.
So, yeah, if we're gonna bid out any other.
By law, we have to bid out engineering.
Can we tie it in with the sewer deal for DNRs, so we can just say.
My only concern would be is most of these that specialize in I&Is, from what I'm understood, that would be their own specialty.
Yeah.
I just don't want to bite off too much at one time, but we're more than welcome. I can call around and get us some ideas, and then we put up a bid, or if you guys want to now, we can have an idea. I mean, it's a bid, it costs us time to run the newspaper, nothing more, nothing less, so
I think it would be worth putting it in there.
I'm fine with it. You guys are all listening to the motion.
I make a motion to solicit bids for the I&I issue and also for water valves.
We got the I&I issue.
We did.
Yeah. Okay, so just water valves.
Water valves.
Does anybody else have any more questions on that or concerns?
The water valve system, is that to address, like, when there is a break, we can isolate?
Exactly.
Okay.
So what it does, I say sections and grids, so like we broke our city up into certain grids. We'll have grid 1 here, grid 2 here, 3, 4, and so forth, and we just break down. And we can basically shut off this valve and this valve, and then shut off this grid. This valve, and shut. And ideally, in an ideal world, that's the way our city should be. But what's happened is our city hasn't grown from the inside out, it's grown sporadically, and we've annexed this in and annexed this in, and it's created a nightmare, to say the least.
But it is but it would be reactive.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna take roll call on that.
Second.
It's okay. Diane Schultz,
I have to say no because I didn't approve the agenda.
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Barbara Thomas,
Yes.
Mike Knoll,
Yes.
Trevor Romo,
Yes.
Mary Watts.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-1.
On that too, just so we can, and I'll put it out there maybe on our Facebook too, I think me and the maintenance supervisor have talked, some of these valves that require that we can't fix live, so as he spoke about, we fixed 2 a day, we fixed those live, so then we weren't, we didn't have to issue a boil advisory or reduce the water pressure, and that was our goal. The larger lines, we can't unfortunately do that with, so as he speaking about the one up here, our only other solution, I guess, would be to do them which would be more convenient for our citizens between maybe the hours of like 10 at night, maybe at 4 in the morning. That's our only other solution, and that's something we're discussing, going back and forth about. But I think that's what we're gonna have to do, because the last thing I want to do is shut off the water when it's peak time. So
That's a good idea.
it inconveniences our employees a little bit, but I'd much rather do that than have citizens without water. So
Right.
does anybody have any?
Will you notify the city of which ones you're gonna turn off?
Yeah, so what would be ideal, so what we would do, so if we're talking about the road up here, I'll give you guys at least 24 hours notice, if at all possible. Huh?
On Facebook?
Typically Facebook is our go-to.
But older people don't get Facebook, Mike.
Do you have another solution then?
Well, we used to,
You can put it on the radio.
they used
For
to
some
do
time.
radio.
We still offer the radio.
We used to do KY3.
So this is the problem, and up until probably just a little while ago, we will call the radio, they do not run it. Now why they don't, I don't know, but I'll tell you that is an issue. It's not like it stopped or anything, we magically stopped doing it. But Facebook seems to be our most and easiest way to spread the information right now.
And maybe post sign on the door here.
We can post sign on the door. Another idea, we talked about this, and I have to go, yeah, we have to go back. We talked about this probably 2 years ago. I mean, it's coming really, really close. I think the text notification like the school uses would be our next.
We approved that.
Like a marquee.
Yeah,
We approved that.
we did approve that, and I have to go back, guys, and check, because I don't remember the company or anything at this point. It's been so long. I'd be fine with that too.
I think
Yeah,
that
that
would be
issue with that.
I've got to be honest, I know certain people listen to the radio, but the radio versus Facebook, it's, I mean, Facebook, I typically get 1,500 views on. The radio, I don't know, most people anymore get in their car and they listen to their phone or they listen to XM radio. I'm not gonna say that's not an option, and we'll still continue using them, but they haven't been notifying people, that's 100%, so. And the news, the same thing, I'll check on the news, but do we turn it into the news? Can we read?
I never have.
Okay, so there's your answer.
Would the bank put it on there like those scrollers or automatic sign up there maybe?
That's personal property, I don't know.
I don't know if I'm good, I don't know if I'm that good.
I mean, it'd be a way to get it out there.
It would, I just don't know, we could potentially talk about us getting one, that would be a potential.
Yeah.
I believe though, if we do the Facebook and we do the text, that should cover everybody. I mean, at that point, are we gonna miss some? Yes, we're gonna miss some.
That's where the language comes into effect.
And then exactly, that's when we depend
That's
on
right.
years ago, that's the
Word of
best
mouth.
answer right there. So,
Word of mouth.
But I do think that.
I got it on my Facebook. You don't have Facebook, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I thought we actually put the code in the newspaper. I thought that was actually going.
you're probably getting confused with being able to pay the bills online.
Maybe.
That's-
I vaguely remember talking about.
Mr. Baker?
I was gonna say, do the same as I do when I post the agendas. Post them at the high traffic areas. Post office, Country Mart, electric company. And you would need to know, but the only thing is you wouldn't have to have advance notice more than 24 hours.
That's what I was gonna say, is sometimes the breaks happen and they need to be addressed soon.
What are you talking about?
That's the break.
Sage, one person at a time.
Mine was leaking in front of my house for a week and a half. So there was ample time to put a post up of a projected time.
There's definitely
But
some.
Diane,
And I didn't find out until I came home that they were working on the
you're
line.
missing the point, Diane, they fixed yours live, we're not worried about the ones we fixed
No, what
live.
I'm saying is when you have leaks like that, you can put a projected date, okay? You can put a flyer out and put a projected date. And then when something does come up, you can always put a flyer to match that to say, yeah, okay, this is your 24-hour. They had, if you put a flyer up that says, okay, we have a break, our projected date is going to be March the 5th, okay? So finally, Daniel has some time, so he says, okay, March the 4th, we're going to do this. Well, these people have had this 3-4 day notice that they know their water line's going to have to be fixed and their water's going to be turned off. It's not just one of these things where you come home and all of a sudden you just don't have water.
We never turned your water off, Diane.
No, I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about other people in the community. I'm not worried about me, I'm worried about the people in the community. That's what I'm talking about. And yeah,
Does anybody else
our
have
lines
any
are
questions?
trash, they are.
Does anybody else have any questions or concerns?
I just have a comment.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
put some people in place on Facebook here not so long after they were complaining about the water issues that we have in Dixon. But you see how many people's here. And if they're not gonna come to the council meetings and address their issues to who they need to be addressed to, then they're not gonna be fixed properly and they're not gonna be answered properly. That's why I'm coming to the council meetings, that way I can find out what's going on in the town. And if, like I said, if I have any questions or concerns or comments, I take them to the correct people.
I appreciate
And that's
that.
what you should be doing, not going on Facebook and blasting the city council or blasting the water department or, it's not really, we all gotta work together, you know.
Every city has water leaks.
Yeah, I mean, we all gotta work together to get the issues fixed.
That's absolutely.
Well,
We need more people to show up.
Yes. Debbie,
More people to be
you've got to be
involved.
active in the community, you've
Exactly.
got support, so.
I think the texting would be the best way because it would be immediate. Some people aren't on Facebook or they don't get on it all day long.
And with that token, we're not going to be able to reach 100% of the people anyway.
My neighbors, they don't have it. So when I get, like, my water gets shut off, I will tell them, I said, hey, they shut our water off.
Yeah.
That way they know not to call down here and ask.
And that's being neighborly to spread the.
And that's what you do with neighbors. That's why
Well, also,
we have
too,
neighborhood.
if we have a communication where the council members know what's going on, that
Exactly.
their constituents can find out, because the council person, you know, I get phone calls all the time, why's my water off? Oh, let me find out, you know? But still, when you have communication, it works.
Yeah, you gotta have communication. If you don't have communication, you don't have anything.
So if we're part of the key here too, you know, we have to do our job.
Oh, yeah.
And I do want to thank you for the credit that you put out, the $10 credit, that was awesome.
You're
To
very
see
welcome.
it. That was,
You're
thank
very
you.
welcome.
Not saved on our lives.
Every little bit helps.
Thank you guys very much. Next, any more questions, concerns? Office personnel? You can address.
I'm not sure if it was now or later that we're supposed to talk about.
We can skip that one. I'll just take it off there.
I don't know what you guys had on there to discuss, I know it's on for closed session too.
Yeah, I think it was
Closed
supposed to
session.
be just to type in there.
Hiring, firing, promoting, disciplining is all closed session.
Business license would be next on our agenda. I anticipated we were gonna have one or two, we do not. Just to clarify though, if you, and this seems to be rhetorical, and I would expect, especially if somebody who runs a business to know, but if you are running a business in our town, it is required for you to have a business license. Furthermore, if you have a retail business where you collect tax money, it is required of you to pay the city tax money. I feel very strange telling people this because I would figure as a business owner you would know this, but unfortunately it's not. So, just again, if you operate a business in the city of Dixon, we do require you to have a business license. And if you're collecting tax money, you have to pay the city of Dixon tax money. Sounds,
That's if you work in the city, right?
Yeah, that's the city.
if you have an outside business
Sounds
coming,
good in the city.
if you have an outside business, to answer your question, if you have an outside business coming to work in the city of Dixon, that it's required for them to have a business license.
Right.
If you're collecting revenue inside our town, you have to have a business license.
Yes, you were talking about sales tax.
Well, I'm talking about sales tax. If you collect tax in the city of Dixon, and let's say that you want to, what I would consider cheat the system and pay it in Waynesville, in the county, that's not kosher. You should be paying it here in the city of Dixon. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, or why that doesn't make sense?
Also, just add that we will be figuring out who has businesses that have.
Yeah,
property.
And as she's spoken, we're going through the license right now, so if you are operating a business in our town without a business license, you'll be shut down. Yeah, and there's a fine, I think, $25 a month plus the business license fee.
And we can also research on the sales tax, who is paying sales tax, and if they have a business in town, and they haven't paid their sales tax, I can tell you.
That's how we generate money, so as everybody is so keen to wonder why we do not have money or didn't have money in the past, because I don't think that's the case anymore moving forward, but that's a vital source of our income is tax money. So if you have a business in our town, that's, what they're doing is they're stealing from our citizens. I mean, they're collecting the tax off of you, but they're not paying it here, they're paying it over at Waynesville in the county just because it's a cheaper rate, so.
I have a comment to make on the police department. They've done an excellent job last night. We called them, they were there within 4 minutes. Response time was great. It was 3 o'clock in the evening. Woke me up, woke her up. We had a disturbance in the street, and they come and took care of it, and it was done. So, that's my comment on the police department.
Thank you, sir, we appreciate that. Next on our agenda, we need to set some type of budget for the furniture and allocate some money for moving the computers down there. So, do we want to open this up for a little bit of discussion or any ideas, concerns?
Well, first of all, what do we anticipate the cost be to dismantle and reset up on the computer system? Do we have an estimate?
We do. I've got a rough estimate from the one we normally use.
Is that good? Is that good?
It wasn't that big, it was another, it was, yeah, I believe it was $2,800 to move everything down. And there's supplies, some supplies we would have to incur on our end that we would purchase, but it was like $2,800 for him to come and move. So my anticipation on that is we will leave here on a Friday. They will move everything over the weekend. We will open back up there on Monday. So the IT guys would work over the weekend to make sure it was a smooth transition and everything was working in our new city hall.
Yeah.
Since we're on the budget and it's dealing with,
We're not talking about budget, we're talking about furniture and computer setup, and you didn't approve the agenda and said you weren't approving the agenda, so I don't know if we should open that up.
So you're just asking for volunteers to help move furniture or?
No, we have to set up, we have 5 offices down there. We've looked at tons of it, to be honest with you. I'm gonna guesstimate, if we wanna be realistic, I mean, we could ideally use the furniture we have. I don't know if that's ideally what we wanna do, and then switch it back out. And we're moving some antique furniture to the least.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's
not
probably,
antique
since
furniture.
whatever's here, there, it'll probably just stay there. We probably won't move on furniture.
I would guesstimate probably $3,000 an office.
I think the more important would be like the collector's office and the clerk's office. Those
Six
So
o'clock.
they're like a teller station, so.
Yeah,
The mayor's desk, it's an old desk, but one.
Yeah, the collectors should be fairly straightforward, because one that they'll have a desk, they'll remember about it be built in there, so we'll have a section for our computers and so forth.
Okay, so that one part's gonna be good, so we just need like the.
Do you ladies have something for us?
She was just asking what you were talking about, because she can't hear you.
Do you want
I
to move
can't
up?
hear you, but that's not your fault.
Do you want to move up again, Betty?
I have a question though. Were you on the agenda tonight? Anyone on the agenda? Because I was told not to speak if I wasn't on the agenda.
I always ask you guys if you guys want to, the same thing last time, Betty, if you have something.
What?
The mayor sets an agenda. If you're ideally wanting to be on the agenda for a special matter, you should ideally put in a request for that.
He says if he asks you questions, you can answer those questions.
I see.
If you want to be specifically talk to them, then he would rather have audio.
I respect that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, Betty. Did that answer you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to get back to the budget for the furniture and computers. I know that it was in the CARES Act that that it was approved for all the wiring and stuff, because I initially had brought that up to make sure that that was covered when we did the transfer. Now, my point is that bid for just hooking the computers up to the existing wiring that's going to be there? Or are they running, is that going to include the wiring and everything? Because that should come out of the CARES Act package.
I don't know that the wiring was included.
Yeah, that's because I had asked that to be included.
The building is,
Yeah, the wires are there.
the building is pre-wired for what we need. What we are paying somebody to do is
But
come
the
down.
ambulance shed wasn't pre-wired for that, was it?
Can I finish, please, Diane? The building was pre-wired for what we need. It has multiple, I think each internet has 3 or 4, depending on the office, and if it needs a printer or so forth, the wires are there in the building. What we are paying somebody to do is come down there, they're gonna move all of the equipment that's in the collector's office right now, every computer down there, and then they're gonna set up where I believe the extra comes in, and what they're requesting from us is to set up where our Wi-Fi works correctly throughout that building, because it's a metal building. So that's why I said there would be some extra supplies in there.
Yeah.
So,
I was just
As
making sure
far
that we
as the
weren't going to pay for
wires-
something that was in the CARES Act. That's
no,
what
I wish it would. As far as the wires, they are there.
But are they the type of wiring
Yeah,
that we need,
that's-
that's people have on the computers that we have now?
Yes.
That was all ran today.
Hopefully
I
that's.
don't know that I prepared that CARES Act application, and I don't recall specifically putting in the wiring into that. But anything that was applicable to COVID would be covered under that. And they ascertained the dollar amount, the county did, of what they would and would not approve. So basically, that's what we've got to work with. Within that dollar amount, anything in excess, such as furniture, we'll probably have to pay for that because it's not COVID related.
So we have to pay for the sprinkler system that was put in, was that in the COVID package too?
Yes.
Yes, that's part of safety to stop our structure
I just
from
want to
running.
make sure, because I didn't see it in there, I looked at it.
Okay,
And it's
so,
all, yeah, the wiring and all that is in the scope of work. Diane, you should have a packet with that in it if you.
I do, I just haven't refreshed my memory for a while.
Most commercial electricians are running Ethernet cable with all the other wiring now when they're roughing stuff in, because it's just standard, but you gotta pay a network guy to come in and set all the different addresses and that.
and make sure the Wi-Fi works up, all the new IP addresses, make sure they're all in sync. It's not a matter of unplugging it and going in and plugging it, cut and say, you're up and running. It's not that easy.
He's told me that he anticipates it taking roughly 20 hours to set everything up.
I believe it, and to make sure everything is synchronized, yeah. And for that price amount, $2,800, I think that's a good deal, quite frankly, because when you deal with an IT, and anytime you deal with an IT, even home computers, when I have mine service, it's expensive.
So I'll ask, I don't even have a clue where to buy office furniture.
Why don't we
I
find
can
out
make a
the server?
suggestion, and try to keep the money in the county, to maybe, talk to Paul's Furniture, they carry office supplies, and see if they would be willing to sell whatever we need at a reduced price to help the city. I know Richard, and he's very good to work with. In fact, I've asked him for money to shop with a cup, and he just gave the money and donated. Richard's always been very helpful, so I would definitely check with them to see.
Does he have
The-
a catalog or?
What's that?
Does he even have like a catalog?
Oh, yeah, he's got that. And here's the other problem you're gonna run into. Because I've ordered furniture for my add-on room, and I've checked several different places to see if I could have it expedited. Because of the COVID, there are a lot of manufacturers, they have drastically cut down their employees. So what you could normally order at Paul's and get in a week, 2 weeks later at the most, is now running out till May and June, if they can even get it. So COVID has impacted the furniture industry. So we might want to keep that in perspective too, if we're looking to special order something as opposed to something on hand.
You guys need to look at what you actually need to buy. I think one of the things you're gonna overlook on your list is a dais for the council and court. And that's probably a custom item. I don't know that anybody just sells
We
those.
had talked about it in one of the meetings about having like one of the local cabinet makers make one, and just, I mean, see what it costs us to do.
And that's an option, and a good option, I think. You know, we've got, within our own community, we've got the Amish.
That's what I was actually thinking of, it's pretty affordable because of these numbers, so.
Mark, do you want to reach out to Paul's Furniture, you want to talk to them? Or is
I can do
something
that.
you-
I can do that.
Okay.
But I
never
need-
even thought about that, but I like that.
I need to know what we're looking for.
That's what I didn't know what you needed.
Yes.
I would say the point of contact would be Deanna, and you guys can work together, maybe
Okay.
go with that. We probably realistically need to set a dollar amount, if at all possible. The reason I'm gonna say that, remember, we're gonna be in there in another 30 days.
So it's gonna be pretty quick.
It's gonna be pretty quick. If anything, we fell behind up.
I don't know what.
Well, it's hard to set a dollar amount when I don't know what we need.
Do you guys wanna go through it, and we'll figure out what we need, and we'll come back and we'll have another short meetings?
I think that would be a better idea.
I'm fine with that, guys. Thank you. Next, and I just wanted to kind of bring everybody up to date. I put on there emergency relief for rent and utilities. I believe it's HB 16's Governor Parsons just passed. What that basically does, I'm going to read straight from there, includes up to 12 months of assistance for rental arrears, for rental assistance, utility arrears, and utility forward assistance. Utility assistance includes electricity, gas, water, and sewer and trash removal and certain energy costs. For both landlords and tenants are eligible to apply for this assistance. That's a big thing with our community because, you know, COVID's hit us as a community in Hyatt County very hard. So just to put that out there for the landlords and the tenants, that if you're having problems paying your bills, you guys can apply for this. And I believe the stipulation is there, you have to be able to let your tenant stay in there for another 6 months. But all that's paid for, they'll actually go back and they'll pay for the old arrears that are owed to you too, so.
I think there's something enacted, and correct me if I'm wrong, but no one can be evicted at this time with the COVID situation.
I think it's been lifted.
Has that been
It was
lifted?
getting lifted, and I think because it was getting lifted and everybody was getting evicted, they said, why don't we just give them some money to try to catch up their bills, but everybody basically got past due water bills, and I know we got a lot of them on the book, could apply, get some money to get caught up.
We should.
We'd appreciate it.
And not only water bills, but busted pipes and excess water itself, or having to leave the faucet running to stop a freeze up. I know my tenant, we had a busted pipe, so I had to have that fixed earlier this week, and so, yeah, it's costly. It can.
So what was the bill he passed?
HB 16.
HB 16?
Well, that's good information there. for the public for those that are struggling to pay rent or cannot meet their utilities because of the extreme weather we had to gain assistance.
It's free money ideally for the tenants and the landlords.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's money you're not gonna have to pay back, and you can get some of the money that's owed to you.
So-
So I think it's a win-win for everybody, to help
Right.
you get a fresh start.
So if you know someone that's in need, that's been struggling, that's on a fixed income, pass that information along.
Next on our agenda would be to, as feels like a never-ending process, the court account. Just to give everybody a backstory, the court account was audited by the state court. When they were auditing the court accounts, they went through there and they had us set up a temporary court account. And what we're doing ideally now is I need a motion to close that temporary court account, because now the new accounts have been all open, all of them have been transferred that should be transferred. So this should be, knock on some wood, the last time asking for approval to close the court account.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to close the temporary court account at Marys County Bank.
Yes.
I'll second it. It served its purpose.
Diane Schultz,
But I voted no on the agenda, I have to vote no on this.
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Barb Thomas.
Yes.
Mike Noel,
Yes.
Trevor Warner,
Yes.
Mary Wild.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-1.
Next on our agenda would be the police vehicle. Some of you guys know, some of you guys don't know. We had the marshal's truck checked out the other day, and it has a cylinder that is low on compression. It serves its purpose. I think it's got 211,000 miles on it. 201,000 miles on it. So I need some input on you guys. Ideally, I'll tell you guys right now, and my thought process was on us having all matching Explorers. But we've been talking to Highway Patrol, and they don't anticipate us having any more within 4 to 5 months. Yeah. So
You can get 4 to 5 months, be put on a waiting list or something.
we've got to potentially put on the waiting list, because I don't have too many than that enough. I'll need you guys to input on that. I mean, it's a,
The Charger or the?
so the pickup truck.
Oh.
So we
That's
got,
what I asked too, Mary. I thought surely not the Charger, we just got that.
So my contention here is we got a maintenance shop that needs vehicles desperately. Gary just got a vehicle. I know this truck is probably not functioning correctly, but, I mean, he basically has one person on shift at a time. So why can't he wait just a little bit and we get a vehicle for the maintenance shop? And
as you just said that, though, I know you correctly, from what I find it very odd, and beside the point that you don't want to vote and don't want to recognize that we're in a meeting.
that's not the point, Mike. Let's deal with the issue. The issue here is,
One
we don't
percent
have an
time.
operating budget because you can't tell me how you bought the last cop car. Okay, I don't know where that money came from. And, I mean, no, I'm staying on
Please restrain
topic.
yourself, or I'll
I'm
ask you to
staying
be
on
rude.
topic. But what I'm saying is we got a
I was
maintenance shop that's
speaking,
on its
you
last leg.
interrupted me. Please restrain yourself, or I'll have you removed. That is your lesson. I find it very odd that you don't want to vote for the agenda, but you don't want to have input on it.
We don't have a liver budget. I can't
We
vote
do.
for the agenda.
You know this. Unfortunately, Diane, you make rules up as you go, and I find it very odd, but that's on you. As you say, the marshal just got a new vehicle. We just bought a new vehicle that you voted no again on the maintenance department, where you didn't want us to have a snowplow truck / snowplow truck. You voted no on that too. But we just bought,
Because I didn't approve the agenda. I have to stick with that. If I don't approve the agenda, anything that falls below it, I have to vote no. Or there's no point in me not approving the agenda.
unfortunately, Diane, you don't approve much that goes on at the city level, so. Do we have any other input on that? My fear, and I'll tell you guys, my fear on this would be that we possibly could get away 4 or 5 months. My fear is that the Charger hasn't been the most trustworthy vehicle in the past.
And then we were down.
And we have 2 officers on duty most evenings.
4 nights a week.
4 nights a week now, so.
And there was a reason why we needed 2 vehicles plus yours. Right, I don't remember what it was, but there is a reason.
And the truck is not running. I mean, they put it on a compression test. They changed the spark plugs, they changed the oil packs, they sent the cylinder age down. The estimate was $5,100 for another engine. plus like 24 hours later. It's almost $8,000.
No, that's
It
great.
makes no sense to do that.
Have we looked at, you guys seen, we're starting to get that police tax revenue in that we passed on last year, is that?
It's begun.
What are we averaging on that?
It's too early to tell right now. As you remember, there's so many months behind. We just got our first one, which was very low, I'll tell you that. Police tax was very.
Oh, it was $400.
So the initial one was very low.
That's just the first one we just got.
That was the first
And
one.
that's from when we first started,
Right.
middle of last year, when
We
we
expected that.
It was
We
up.
did fully expect that. Till we have, I would say roughly 3 months of the police tax coming in, it'd be really hard to guess maybe what we'll have. But either way, that potentially, I will say,
That's awful low, because that's
I
one
think-
half of a percent.
It wasn't a whole month.
it wasn't 1 month. Or
Okay.
That's why, I think it was a partial month the way they worked it out. I will say, we looked at the budget before, the ballot budget, I would say, that we had there before. The marshal's been very stringent on his payroll, so if we wanted to take some money out of there and move it to the vehicle fund, we could. We've got, what I estimated just off the top of my head, there's roughly, at this rate, if he keeps up the same payroll, we'll have an excess of $60,000 at the end of the year, so that's an option for you guys.
I have a question. Can we go maybe like a lease option, like a Ford company or Chevy company or?
We talked about that before. The problem is we get the vehicles from the highway patrol, which becomes a really good deal for us. How much do we pay for them?
20,000.
20,000, they have 40,000 miles on them?
You had 50.
54. Okay, so they have 50,000 miles. When we buy from the highway patrol, we get a warranty on them for 100,000 miles. The nice thing about that is it comes pre-wired. So we do have about $5,000 incurred in upfitting the vehicle. So that, even then, we figure we have $26,000 in it, whereas a lease vehicle, we're talking 45, 50. Is that correct?
So I didn't get that part.
We buy a brand new one at $250,000.
And then you gotta wire and set it up,
And the cost of it.
lights and everything, yeah.
Gary, was your truck didn't have,
It
what
wasn't
am I trying to say, it wasn't a full police vehicle with
And
the
that's-
backseat glass and the computer and everything in it.
And that was part of the problem, is it was a civilian truck with a civilian engine.
And you need a police vehicle.
Mike, as the mayor said, the highway patrol has a waiting list that's very extensive. They have 12 agencies ahead of us. And the only thing we found was a used police vehicle from McDermott County, Texas, at government fleet sales in Kansas City.
And that was,
And that is a fully equipped Chevy Tahoe,
what year?
and it has all the equipment left in it. They went to a lease program, so they sold everything they had. So it has $6,000 worth of equipment in it.
Okay. And what are they asking, what year? What
It's
is-
2015, and they've reduced the price today for us to $16,500.
Oh,
We've
that's
got two.
reasonable.
We looked it up at NAD and took Blue Book at 24,300.
Yeah.
And it's fully equipped. I will say
And
that.
it's like ready,
It's ready to go.
I can pass this around, there's like 20 pictures they sent us.
Yes, please.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a bargain.
And it's down in Texas though?
No,
No, it's in Kansas.
but now, I mean, it does have fairly high miles.
120.
But what are other?
But it's been serviced, you get the service records?
Yes, they do everything off it.
You know, mileage doesn't hurt a car as long as it's serviced.
I know about putting all this stuff in police cars because I've done it. It takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of money to get it right.
Yeah.
And
Marshall,
I,
how many miles did that one did you have when you got it, do you remember?
120 something. About the same.
I don't know about the rest of it, but when I call the police, I want them there. You know what I mean? I don't want them saying my car won't start.
And I'm just gonna tell you from personal Well, I'm just gonna tell you as an older person, that I understand the maintenance needs a truck.
Occasionally, our
You know, if there's a pothole that needs filled in your road, yes, you would like that filled.
Yeah.
But if you have an emergency at your home, you want an officer there.
Yeah, right now.
That's more important.
To me, yes.
And I feel that way too.
We drive over a road that tears our truck up all the time. I'm not complaining about that. We called them the other night, 4 minutes. They were there.
Yeah, and that's what.
It didn't matter what the road looked like. It was up there.
You want the security of knowing.
Not to put anything bad on maintenance guys, you know, they're out there doing their job, trying to do that too. But emergency vehicles, to me, are more important. And I'm not saying that maintenance vehicles are not emergency vehicles, because when your water line breaks, they need to be there to fix it and have the right equipment to do it. No, I'm just talking. I'm trying to get both parts. But, you know, if, I can wait on water, okay? That's not too emergency to me. Water, I've done without water for days. I'm not worried about it. I go down here in town and buy my water.
I can do without it for a day or two, I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
that's me. Speak on your own behalf.
Women are a whole different issue.
Exactly.
You're a tough cookie, I like my water.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you know, but still, yeah.
You can,
If I got somebody gonna break in my house and it's on my property, that right there is right now. And if he goes out and gets in his vehicle and it won't start, it won't run, he's out of gas, or he, like I said, the cylinder's gone, well, he can't get there. And all he can do is say, I'm sorry, call county. And they're like 20 out there. You know, if you call county, I don't care where you're at, it's gonna take them at least 15 to 20 minutes to get their response time. You call city,
You're being optimistic.
you call city right now, and the fastest I seen them was the other night, and that's 4 minutes. And the slowest I've seen was 15. So,
Well, the call last night was county's call.
yeah,
However, they asked us to go when we were there with them.
exactly. But now we're in the city, they're over there all the time. They go by.
Oh, you can get the bars over themselves.
It has everything,
And this deal right here,
except for our ratings.
you can't buy a vehicle that year a model with that many miles.
Except for our radios, what would that cost?
It's just a matter of moving them from my truck to there.
Yeah, let's get ready.
I have the ratings.
All we need to do is drag it, they're on the site.
You don't even have to do that, it's not required by law.
Well, we want Dixon. Come on, needs to look good. Needs to match the other one.
Okay.
Jerry, would you rather have issue Tahoe, or would you rather just turn your own way, and let the people take the start with your Explorer, you got pretty nice. I mean, it all comes from the highway patrol.
We do. And we had planned, I mean, like the mayor said, eventually the goal was to have 3 vehicles all the same, and the same equipment, blah, blah. But I think that projection was down the road for when we did have the tax money coming in, and we could record all that at the same
To
time.
do that,
2 years ago, all you had was a Tahoe and that Crown Vic with the mirrors.
Correct, so
Is that a 4-wheel drive game?
no, it's 4,
It's not.
4 minutes ago, 2.
That would be the only thing I see, but, I mean, really, it's.
but
I would say
how many steep hills and things does he have to travel here within the city?
Well, I'm saying for like snow and ice, it's like 10 days a year.
But he doesn't really have treacherous roads
But
really in the city.
the
to
Fords,
travel.
the Fords, yeah, it's one of them. And the Chargers that, Chargers to a drug too.
That would be the thing is, is you would have, if it got, where there's 6 inches of snow out there, you would have one vehicle and that's it.
Same thing you just had.
Yeah.
I will say, I think they did a really good job of taking care of the roads in the time.
But you know, there's always things you can put on your tires to give you that traction.
It's just, you know,
It isn't 4 wheels kicking in, you just got 2, right?
so, I mean, I'm fine with that, I think, as long as you think that'll fit your needs and everything.
I think it'd be smart with the equipment, I mean,
Is this something we probably need to move on fairly quick though, I'm guessing? 'Cause it's-
yes.
So,
Now, would we make a motion to approve this with the understanding that his budget be amended?
Yes,
that's what I was wondering.
have to.
And would we amend the budget first before we do approval on this?
Are you all the same time, don't you, remember?
That's what I thought.
We've done that in the past.
Have we?
Probably so.
He's not answering, so.
Yeah, can you?
Yes,
Ready to amend the budget, we have to approve this purchase in a single motion, yeah.
I'll wait till everybody reviews, but I've got one line
Is
there.
that the best? Who's done the negotiating?
That was me. It started, we looked at it last week, it started at 18,000, I think it was, like on page 3.
Do you have to go pick it up in Kansas City?
No.
Can I turn the lights on and drive back a second?
Does it come with everything, or would you need
Every bit of that, the only thing we swap is the radios.
just the radios? Okay.
But the radio should be an easy swap, right?
Oh, yeah.
Should be plug and play on that one.
You can do that yourself, can't you? No?
But he's got a deputy that can.
Alan, can you do it?
Our radio guy.
Swap radios? I've got one of the radios at home.
We would have to, I mean, it's more than that. I
I'm
mean, we
just
have,
joking.
our vehicle has a modem, it has all the stuff that are required, you know, for the internet, all that crap. All that's got to move.
What is the
But it
anticipated
can come
cost?
out of that vehicle and go into this one, and that,
What
it's
is
kind of like
that?
cable, I mean,
Yeah, right.
I can put cable in your house if you want to, but I'm not a cable installer.
What is
We'll
the
need a price
anticipated
tag, that's
cost?
what we need from you.
Our price last time, and I'm sure it's probably the same, I think it was $750 swapping. They were removed from one and added, installed again.
So you'll need $17,250. That's what you'll need in total.
Yeah, I think so. I didn't realize.
You guys do that, so that's what it'll have to be, total $17,250 to approve.
That's for him to have the.
The installer I can take off of my budget, our personal life.
We've got that.
Synchronizing everything.
I don't want to see us get in a position where we have an extra vehicle. That's only.
I will say that I'm very anal, I'd much rather everything matched, that was my vision, to have all matching vehicles. So partially, I'll tell you right off the bat, there's some bunkers that have one white vehicle.
That's
I know you guys don't care, but I'm telling you, like, I got my vision of I want it to match.
Well,
That's how I chose it.
Mayor, we had a good opportunity with another deal that Marshall Frankel presented to us, and unfortunately, we didn't have the revenue to do it. And I think for public safety, this is needed. We need to have 2 officers patrolling. And with a car down, a vehicle down, and that's not good for public safety. And with that said, I'm gonna jump the gun, I'm gonna make a motion that we amend the budget to approve the purchase and the installation of the radio
We should
of
price
the 19 or 20, 2015 Tahoe in the amount of $17,250.
Yes, with $750 of that will go for the radio.
Right, $750 to go toward the install and transfer of the radio.
Oh, I'll second it, sorry.
Oh, I have my cards done.
I'm done.
Diane
Short and
Schultz,
sweet.
Once again, I did not approve the agenda, so I have to say no.
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Barb Thomas,
Yes.
Mike Knoll,
Yes.
Trevor Arnold,
Yes.
Mary Wiles,
Yes.
motion carried 5-1.
Thank you, guys. Next and final in open session would be the trash contract, which is up for renewal October. We gotta give them 3 months notice. So do you guys want to start putting something out there for that?
Probably get some bids put out.
I think it's probably time. I mean, WCA sold out to the Canadian company. I forgot the exact name of the company, but they sold out. So a lot of things have changed. I think we addressed this last time, that now they'll only pick up 1 trash can before they're picking up 2.
Right.
It's become a little bit more stringent. We had a lot of problems with them during the bad weather where they weren't picking up certain streets and there was no feedback. We tried to reach out to the WCA or the company, but I still refer to it as WCA. We never got no feedback from them. We were trying to see if they were going to credit us something on our account. I don't believe we ever heard anything back, correct? So.
And they missed my trash for 2 weeks in a row.
So I think moving forward, we need to at least explore our options out there. So if we could start, I'll maybe run that on our Facebook and run it in the newspaper for next month or 2.
We need to give them written notice.
120-day written notice, you are correct.
Yeah, 1 July, I think, so.
Yes. Some cities are going to allow a week.
So do we need to make a motion to,
Before you guys approve on it.
okay,
We wouldn't look at anything else. You still have the trash trucks. It's, once again, it's short notice to get everything up and running again, but I think the potential is there to
the
do it.
potential is, but do we have the labor to do it?
We would-
That's the problem.
We would have to hire more guys.
Yeah.
That's right. So you weigh the cost of the repair of the truck, the repairs, the continued repairs with the old trash truck.
From what I
Hiring
understand,
of additional
even
people.
with all that, it would still be, the city would come out ahead on that, but it's a matter of time.
I believe that's something, if we're going to go in that deep of discussion, we probably wouldn't be here. We could do a workshop on it.
Have we included the transfer fees on it? I mean, transfer fee station? I mean, we
It's,
just got out of debt with that.
Well, that's because they never paid the bill for it.
So long as our truck keeps slipping on, you might break even with it. When we did the cost analysis before we went with an outside source, we were losing big time every
Yes.
month on it. Every month.
That's,
If you go look at what it costs to buy a trash truck, if ours ever goes down, I don't see how you make money on it doing one.
I will say this though, and I was agreeing with you and I was on that same agenda for a long time where I don't think it's feasible, but you see right now what's going on with the other cities, and based our city, if they can do it, we should do it, and probably go in the right direction. Some very successful cities that, are next to us, they've all went back to doing their trash themselves. So with that being said, I agree and disagree. I think it's something we need to have a workshop and actually let's get down. I know exactly how much they haul out of here. I've got the exact tonnage. I can tell you exactly how much the transfer station will charge us. We should probably have a workshop and go over the details.
I think so, because we need to look at the numbers on it, both ways.
There's a reason St. Robert is going back to doing it themselves. I mean, it has to be cost effective for them to do it.
But they own their own transfer station.
That is
and
true.
How many more customers is that?
That's a very good point. And I'm open for that, but plain devil's advocate back.
Well, we'll just have to figure out the
Until I play
costs.
the final numbers, I don't want to make a decision.
Right.
And WCA did have 1 driver and 1 worker that did it in 2 days.
there's a city, there's 4 guys, so
Yeah, and 2 falling in the ranger.
it was was.
Well, in my street, I only ever saw one.
And 25 breakdowns on the side of the road in 6 months I was here.
And they
Trash
didn't
truck
cover,
naked on 44.
they didn't cover all of the city because the city contract, or the other businesses contracted out elsewhere for dumpster service, so we didn't have, that's not including the whole city.
I really don't know how much a trash truck costs, but I know an automated trash truck.
It's expensive, I looked that
Which I
up a
don't
few
know.
years ago.
As big as one in St. Albert, so we could go with the smaller one, but an automated trash truck would pick the trash up, residential trash cans, the blue ones, lift them up, put them in there, 4 hours.
But are we gonna get trash cans? I mean, because
I mean, that's
the problem we had
$90,000
before,
for trash.
the problem we had before was people would take their plastic bags out at nighttime, and then the raccoons and everything else would get in, be all over the street, and they didn't clean it up, so, I mean,
It's not the city's responsibility. If they don't
I
clean it up.
understand, but, I mean, if we can organize it, I mean, I'm thankful for the fact that we have matching trash cans, and everybody has one. You know, I mean, that's coordination. To me, that shows a little bit of pride in your city. You know, as opposed to just throwing your trash out in the street and, you know, expecting them to pick it up. Well, if the raccoons are in it, that's kind of like a given. The man's not gonna stand here and pick up the trash.
I like the trash can idea. Whichever way we go, I think.
I think the
I
trash
think,
can.
no matter what, we're gonna have to have uniform trash
Yes.
cans. I don't think that's an option, and anybody that's talked to me about it, or said they would be interested in doing it, that's something I told them right off the bat.
Right.
Once our citizens have become accustomed to having uniform trash cans, we're not gonna get away from it. So moving forward, any service we have will be with uniform trash cans, as long as I have to say so.
Good.
So when WCA ends, they'll come, we'll get a new trash, or we'll keep the trash coming up?
Ideally, the way it would work at that point is a new company would come in and drop you off the trash can. There would be a transition probably of a couple of weeks where they would come back and pick up your old trash can. WCA would come, so let's say Dixon City Trash Service comes in, they would bring you a trash can. That probably the first week or two, they would pick up, you know, your old WCA, and then after that, we would ask you guys to set it aside. WCA would come through with their truck and pick them back up. Does that answer that?
Yes.
One other thing I have, John Mills, we put that John Deere lawnmower up for auction probably 2 months ago.
Yes.
2-3 months ago. John Mills has came and offered us, is it $150?
Yeah, either 150 to 200 for it.
Yeah, somewhere in that vicinity, guys, don't quote me on the exact amount. I thought it was $130. It's sitting down there, it's going, for lack of a better word, scrap. It runs, it has a huge knock to it, so it's, you guys want to let it go for that, so that you can get out of a lot down there.
How long is it listed for?
Posted with the rest of the stuff and we sold it all.
Yeah, so
we didn't.
Well, let's find a middle ground and say 175.
We can do that. I'll tell them we'll accept $175 for it, with your guys' approval. I'll need a motion on that one too, guys.
I'll make a motion to sell the John Deere mower for $175.
I'll second.
Diane Schultz,
Once again, I didn't approve the agenda, so I have to say no.
Anthony Campbell,
Yep.
Barb Thomas,
Yes.
Mike Noel,
Yes.
Trevor Warnell,
yes.
Mary Lau,
Yes.
motion carries 5-1.
The only other thing I have is Family Dollar has contacted us. There's a culvert that runs from one edge of that parking lot across there to the other edge of the highway. It runs diagonal, basically straight in the middle. If you cut a triangle out, runs across there. It's rotted. It's our responsibility. They've asked if we would be willing to give them some dollar amount. I believe the culvert was $3,800 if we would pitch in, since it is our responsibility. They would dig it up, do the work.
Where's this at?
Family Dollar.
Are they wanting to split the 3,800 with us?
I think they're asking for anything they can, so that was the idea I got. It's our culvert. It's an old galvanized one. It's rotted out in the bottoms.
Is it the driveway that runs out onto 28?
So basically, both
Right, it's out
entrances
there.
right there. If you would say both entrances, do you know where's that?
Yeah.
Okay. It runs from one entrance basically to the other entrance across the highway a little bit before the one for Park City. It looks looks like it's been there forever, but the bottom's rotted out, and they're gonna redo that parking lot, concrete it in, so that's totally up to you guys. I'll include myself because I've had vested interest in.
Are you saying it runs from 28 to 4th Street?
Essentially.
So it's catty corner through the
Yeah, it
parking
runs
lot?
diagonal through the parking lot.
No storm drain, high limit.
It's what, it moves water from one ditch to another ditch, yeah, there is a storm drain on the other side of it.
Do you think they'd be willing to split the cost with us, 19 each?
I'm sure they would. I mean, obviously, they asked me to present it to you guys here, so that's what I'm doing. So
How do you guys feel about us splitting the cost? Actually, it's actually on us, really.
That's why I was,
If we split it with them and offer to pay 19 and they pay 19, how do you guys feel about that? I think that's only fair. Would be fair.
I mean, is it at this point, I've never dealt with this, so is it just giving an offer like, we will pitch in this much?
that's basically what they would want. They're gonna start probably 2 weeks. They're gonna start tearing that parking lot up. When they tear the parking lot up, they're gonna dig that up and replace it also. And it'll be, I'm sure you'll know, it'll be the other material, won't be that galvanized no more.
Maybe the plastic.
Yeah, the thicker. So,
Does it affect C Highway or 28?
No, it's just what's in.
It's just a parking lot.
the parking lot.
So it's only on private property?
Well, but it runs from one edge of the highway to the other edge of the highway. It's our installed.
Basically, the only part of it that would be theirs, I guess, would be the drop in that's in the middle of the parking lot.
That's exactly right. Does that make sense? So we put it in, and I'll tell you ideally what, and I know why they put it in. They put it in because you have a corner here. So Casey's is over here, four streets here, highway here. It runs across here. Well, you couldn't get water around to the ditch this way and up. So what they've done is put it right here, so we run across there. So that's why it becomes our responsibility, so.
Wouldn't they have known that one, because they had people come look at the property before they took it over?
Oh, I'm sure they knew it, but when they were here, before they did the concrete, I met up with them and they went down there, they popped the top on it, and they came right inside there when they did, the whole bottom was rotted out through there. It's pretty common, especially, I don't know how old that parking lot is.
I make a motion, we split the cost with Family Dollar Tree.
Up to 3,800.
Yeah. That's the
We
38.
split one half of 3,800.
So 1900 would be.
1,900 max. Yeah.
So, yeah, make a motion to split the cost up to 3,800, which is $1,900. The Family Dollar Tree, whatever it's called.
It's $70, what?
Family Dollar.
I'll second it.
Diane Schultz,
And again, I didn't approve the agenda, so I have to say no.
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Barb Thomas.
Yes.
Mike Knoll,
I recluse myself, I have a vested interest in the business that's on work for them, so.
Trevor Warren,
Yes.
Mary Wise.
Yes.
Motion carried 4-1.
Do you guys want a break before we go into closed session? 5-minute break?
For 5-minute recess.
Question, was North Oak annexed, or are we still counting over there?
No vote.
We're still working on that.
Still counting.
Don't,
So like last night when I called this, do I call county then still?
You still, as soon as that whole, project is done, we'll announce it, you'll see it in the newspaper, because it's mandatory for us to.
Okay, so I call
I'll make
county.
sure you guys know.
After it's done or before?
Well, you don't have to call county, call the police. Are you talking about?
During the
police
process,
station?
there's a
Okay,
process
police
too where we have to
station.
put it in the newspaper and let it roll run.
It's free.
That's right, then we'll have another section for that. Yes, Helen?
Have you considered state surplus for some of the trucks or vehicles or?
So part of that highway patrol wasn't that's what they consider state surplus, but it's through the highway patrol. They have all kinds of vehicles there, and truth be told, if there wasn't such a waiting list, that was my whole idea the whole time, was to have matching vehicles for our city. I really like that. I think it'd be very professional. But unfortunately, when there's a 4 or 5 month on his waiting list. I'm afraid if we do have one to go down, especially the Charger, which we've had nothing but trouble out of, that would be ours. I promise you, the last thing I want is to have a mismatched vehicle. That's just, it drives me nuts.
As long as
So-
it runs.
Still an emergency, you call 911. Don't worry about calling the county.
Well, I mean, for being a grandma, you're on your road.
To go into recess for 5 minutes?
Yeah, hey, real quick though, so I'll announce this real quick, and I'll go back to the business license portion, so I'm still a little out of, before we make a motion. Just to announce that we've got a couple, it's always been my goal and our goal, I'd say, to grow businesses here. We've got 2 businesses right now that are very interested in moving into the Brown Shoe Factory, so moving forward, I think it's something that'll be accomplished in the next, I perceive we'll have a.
Well, if you have to, I have to.
Yeah, so we have potential within the next 6 months, we'll have somebody in that building, which will be another stepping stone for us as a city, I believe, so.
Is it gonna be higher more than?
I believe so. That's ideally what we look for. I would say
200, one one's 200 employees, and the other one's 36, he said, 35, 36.
so that's another stepping stone for us. I think it's another wonderful thing, bringing our county in the right direction, so. Businesses are growing right now, so it's a wonderful thing, and I think that building will make it a very good shop. I'll need a motion for a break and to go, then we can come back.
I'll make a motion to go into a 5-minute recess.
Mr. Baker, time to get out of here.
I'll
I
second.
don't, just so that everybody knows, I don't anticipate us coming back into open session, so if you guys want to stick around, you're more than welcome to, but I believe when we come back, we'll just adjourn, so.
I second it.
So. Come off my hand.
Diane Schultz. No, it's a recess. Well, yeah, a recess motion, so we'll have a roll call.
Yes.
Anthony Campbell,
Yes.
Barb Hawkins, Mike Knoll,
Yes.
Trevor Warren,
Yes.
Mary Miles,
Yes.